Alright guys, we're going to continue our self-love talk, and I believe this is part 10 of How Do You Love Yourself? And this is a continuation of becoming the one with your partner, your other person, regardless of who it is, whether it is an estranged child, whether it's a relationship, regardless, it's becoming one with this individual. Okay, so I'm continuing this talk, and I'm trying to explain why this is so important and why it's a shortcut. And hey Anna, hey Daniela, oh my gosh, my favorite people. I love you guys. Thank you. Okay, so continuing this talk, you guys, the reason this is so important, okay, whether you are with your person or not, whether this is a romantic interest of yours or whether this is an estranged family member, why this is so important to bridge the divide. This is the biohacking tool of the century, right? This is the mirroring technique or the understanding that you want to bridge the divide. This is the most important part, okay? With or without your loved one. The ability to do this allows you to avoid misunderstandings, allows you to have a certain amount of compassion that you wouldn't normally have, allows you to just simply be a totally different type of person. And the reason this is because of two things. Love simply is. Okay, and I know this because it makes no demands. It absolutely doesn't do anything. It expects nothing. It requires nothing. It simply is. I can say this beyond a shadow of a doubt because I say in love is love reflected. And again, I keep saying these two things together, and the reason I'm saying it is the most important thing I will ever say to you is when you want to bridge the divide with someone, you want it to be the two become one. The reason you want to do this is because this is the God state, okay? The God state knows absolutely zero division. So if you see your partner as separate from you, you are the reason for that divide. That is not the God state. When you are embracing the God state, you realize that you and all of your experience is on display. When you are fully accepting of that, you are being, you're simply being, you make no demands, and you understand what is before you, therefore you are very peaceful. This makes for a very powerful union. It is a force that nothing can pull apart. You see, there's no drama here. There's no games that needs to be played. You have bridged the divide between yourself. You've won because you've understood how God is and how God reflects your state of being. I am, right? The am is just the state of being in between. This is the part that is. This is the constant. And out of love, that is what's reflected back so you can see yourself, because God itself, that which is everything at once, that is through everything, is everything, will ever be everything, right? It is everything, right? To imply that there is something separate from this is to imply that there is something other than God. Therefore, we are the one that is acting as the barrier. If you can follow with what I'm saying, that means that when you are trying to understand a loved one, when you're trying to understand their perspective, it is important to bridge the divide and see what is being shown. Because here's the thing. Everything on display so that you can know yourself is your experience. It's universal experience. Everybody goes through it. The bad, the good, the bad, the whatever, the ugly, whatever we characterize that as, And whatever we define that at is irrelevant. It is called universal experience. And when you identify with all of the universal experience on display, you will understand the nature of God everywhere. When you can understand how the I and the am come together to become one whole thing. And so when you are trying to have the type of union that is conflict-free and that is at peace and that has no division, that can only be someone who is at peace with the experience before them. Because as you know, I said this to you all. I said you can't look into your own eyes. You need a reflective surface. So what is before you is your test. It's the way you are going to learn how to understand what love is. And so in bridging the divide and realizing that what is before you is your experience that is being called for acceptance, then you have a totally different state of awareness. That in itself is the most powerful force on earth. There is nothing stronger than this, because this is the only thing that is. When you identify with being the only thing that is, right? That's that energy I keep telling you about. Okay? That's the solid foundation. So you want to try, whether you are with your person or not, to identify at all times with the experience before you. What is it that they're reflecting? What are they showing you? What do you need to teach to yourself? If you have a division, they are showing you how you believe you are separate from this person. There is no division. When you have no division, when you understand that the bodies are the illusion, the only thing that's being shown is your own experience. When you have that kind of peace, you are happy with or without anything. When you are that happy, that is contagious. It's a very strong force. But anybody who wants to be in the very best union, that which is called twin flame, you have to become the God state. You have to understand. You have to bridge the divide and see one body, not two. And the only way that you can do this is understand that your living memories are on display, made into new patterns, and that will either be your point of contention or the attraction factor, that which helps you to recognize the potential in yourself and the potential of this relationship. The only thing on display is the relationship you have with yourself. But when the importance has been taken off the illusion outside of you, and you've made peace with how everything is you, now it's self-sufficient. That's the kingdom of God. That's mirrored everywhere. It's always true. It's true of everyone. But the only way we memorize, see, and understand our omnipresence is to understand our experience. We are told repeatedly, to know thyself is to know the kingdom of God. That is literal. To have peace and understanding over all of your experience on display, made into different patterns, to no longer see any division, to understand that everything you see before you, you are its source. And it is made in your image, and it is doing you the ultimate favor of showing up so that you can see what you're being to yourself. And that is the relationship of God. And when you have that, when you mirror that, when you are that, you have no division with your partner. You start trading places. these things start to become normal. Peace starts to descend. And as a result, your 3D person wants to be with you all the time. And you want to be with them because it's harmonious. That's what everybody's after. But you have to have peace within yourself, because in love is love reflected means that peace must be what you are emitting in order to have a peaceful union. But the God state in itself has no division. So in embracing that, you are embracing the union. You are crashing the divide until what you experience is something really beautiful, because you have telepathy. You trade places. You start to understand each other's perspectives. You'll find yourself, trading places. By that, I mean trading points of experience. And you'll develop a love for that, because you'll understand that it's you at all times. And when you have that type of love for yourself, it is mirrored out everywhere. There is nothing stronger than this force. So if you want to bridge the divide with anyone, recognize yourself in them. That is the homework. That is the state that you're after. When you can recognize yourself in them, you have your Princess of Kashi moment, where you realize you cannot be separated from yourself. And when you have that kind of peace, then you're free to speak your mind, speak your needs, say whatever you want. You can't lose yourself when you know it's yourself that's on display. But you do have to embrace the God state in order to have the best union. That's what collapses the divide. And then whatever illusion, whether it's a border, whether it's a COVID, whether it's another woman, man, if it's, I don't care what, whatever illusion that has been made in order for you to have a safe space to try and determine how long this takes you to figure out that it's you on display, will dissolve into the nothing it's always been. Bodies are illusions. But the awesome part about these bodies, they may be illusions, but this is how you experience 3D. And if you understand that 3D is made in here first, and you train your mind to reverse engineer things, you get to experience the best of both worlds. That's being the bridge between heaven and earth. And you can discover this in union with one individual or all. Because the beauty about this love is that love is the only constant. So it doesn't have to be a romantic love. It can be a platonic love. But if you're trying to bridge the divide, if this goes out to all my people looking for an SP, a specific person that, you know what I'm talking about, right? You're aching in your heart because, I don't know, there's in the illusion. That illusion, my darling, was created by you, individual. The space, also created by you. The illusion of time and space, all created by you in your skull. And whatever you're believing inside your skull, a minimum of 51%, that is what is solidified outside. 51% or more will solidify outside. But that reality is as changeable as you are. If you can understand how your state of being is the only thing that's being reflected outside, that's the God state. So in a relationship, if we're trying to have a really, really good, harmonious union, understand how the reflection is serving you. The more you start to collapse that divide, you control it in a whole different kind of light. It's a very different type of union. It's the type of union that people talk about with twin flames. And here's the thing. This is true of every individual. Okay? I use revelations to test my theories out. And revelations basically states that as long as it's true of everybody, then it's true. If it's not true of everybody, then it's an illusion. So things like age and bodies and all of this, these are all illusions. The way they appear, illusions. We use them to interact in our world for the sake of experience. Please don't forget that. That we are projections of our own consciousness, and that's it. So, if you have a division between yourself and an SP, that means that 51% of the time you are focused on how you are not each other. 51% or more. That is your focus, and that would be why you have a division. Your job is to bridge that gap, to change your mind, and to remember at all times this person is you. How are they showing you that you are on display? How are they serving you? And bridge the divide. When that force gets turned on full force and the realization hits you and you no longer have a need for that person outside because you have completely understood how you are one and the same individual, you have the power of the light behind you. And then the shadow becomes whatever the light says it wants it to be. Please practice this. You will find that a soulmate can turn into a twin flame. Or you'll at least know what to strive for. And that is to be love and reflect love, to understand and bridge the divide, to understand that what is before you is kind of like you backwards or a reflection. And so the more you practice this understanding, then you start bridging the divide. Then what happens is a total mind meld. Once that mind meld occurs, there is no force in the world that can ever separate. Nothing. Not even in death, for we would just create another body to be with each other if it were necessary. So not even the illusion of death can separate this, because like I said, it's all illusion. Your job is to realize how and what's on display, because this is where your immortality stays. This is the type of love that knows no divorce. This is the type of love that transcends all human understanding, because it's what opens the gates to heaven. And the gates to heaven are very simple. You realize your omnipresence. You become the constant. And then you understand it's true of everyone. But when you have this understanding, you can experience real love without fear. Fear will place you in survival mode, which will turn your reflection into something you don't recognize, which then causes all your fears to come to life. And so then the people that play those roles show you your fears, and that is necessary. However, if you understand that your emotional state of being is what is creating the illusion outside, then you can release those people. You can forgive them for what they've shown you, because they've shown you inside yourself. Again, remember your omnipresence. Your experience is the only thing on display. Your living memories, it's what's on display. They've been turned into a whole bunch of different patterns to make it look like other people, but the one expressing as the many is understood very, very simply from this standpoint. But only the light can understand its own shadow. It is universally true. When Christ said, yeah, I know God, that's me. That is a universal statement, which is why the message is so powerful. Because it's true of everyone. So, if you are looking to bridge the divide, what you are trying to do is mirror your individual. Look at your individual and understand that they are you. Look at your experiences until you see no divide. And continue to focus on the person and remembering that you are on display, that the specialness that you are really trying to consider special, that the prize, everything, is everything you don't consider yourself to be in the moment. And you're attracted to that potential because it is you, it is your experience. That's that force. Because this person then brings this out of you. But the relationship is with yourself at all times. So when you stop making it about them and understand how it's you and how you are on display everywhere, that's a different type of relationship. That relationship doesn't play by earthly rules. That's the relationship that everybody is seeking. Everybody wants this. And the only way you know it works is when someone calls you their constant, when someone says you are the universe, and they mean it. It's because you understand that person helped you see into yourself until you recognize your omnipresence. It's a very powerful, powerful state of love. But to have it, you got to be it. And it is a miracle. Except that it's the only constant. So it's not it's special, but it's on display everywhere if you understand how it works. So, embracing the God state. Part 10 of self-love, whether you are with or without your partner, okay? Or if this is a child that you want to make amends with, or if this is a mother or father that's estranged or whatever, okay? Your job is to understand and bridge the divide until you recognize yourself. A lot of the times, all that people are showing you is your experience, what I call your experience in reverse, or a new pattern of living memories made to look like another person so you can recognize yourself and have a specific experience in the moment. That's what's going on. When that importance has been taken off of them and you understand that you are the source of that experience, everything is drawn to that. That's the shortcut. This is why you don't need to work harder. You don't need to do any of those things. It's not necessary. Your job is to know who you are, and knowing who you are and embracing the God state, everything comes to you. So if you're trying to unite with someone, that is your job. Your job is to start collapsing the idea of space between two individuals. Because that's a mental construct. It's the mental constructs that we create so we can have our experiences. I want you guys to start reverse engineering your reality until you understand how you make these components, so that you can continue to make these components, but you don't have to live a very specific state of patterns, because you can make your own and make new ones. Another thing happens when you bridge the divide and you recognize this person as yourself, and you have made peace with this experience, and you understand that it is you. You elevate this person to the highest standard, because what you are saying is that that person is equally God, or they would not be able to show up in your experience. So this in no way makes it seem like you are grandiose or better than anyone or anything. Everyone is equally so. But in holding this image of the kingdom of God being everything at once, you automatically lift up your reflection to this, and you expect your reflection to show up in this way. This gives them something to do, to strive for, if they don't feel this yet. Or vice versa. Either way. Notice this is the 3D view and this is the 5D view. You can be in either. You exist in both simultaneously. So if you understand you are the source and you take the importance off of here, you can understand how the light and the shadow are one. If you don't understand how you are the source, the shadow will just confuse you all the time. Because the shadow will feel like it's out of your control. But that is a 3D illusion. The only thing we are here to heal is that which is what we believe to be separate from God. So embrace this state, you guys, in your relationship as well. When you start to do this and you've elevated them to this state, when you have really taken it up a notch, okay? Now this godly union is a very solid union. And since no one else can do this but yourself, you understand the miracle. That the whole thing is serving you. It is only in judgment that we do not understand what's being shown. It is the idea that what is being shown is not you. But by law, it has to be as above and so below, so within and so without. In love is love reflected. So to use that type of power for you instead of against yourself, you want to start embracing this collapse. You want to start identifying with what's before you. You want to trade perspectives. You want to understand what experience is on display. Because once you identify it, you can release the points of contention that may cause fights. And you will notice that if you're already a couple, we are not creative in our arguments. We will fight about the same thing over and over again for months, maybe until we resolve something, or it might be the same thing over the years. Okay? We're not creative in this. That is because all that we are doing is trying to show each other our wounds so that we can accept them in ourselves, so that we can stop projecting them into the universe. What's true of one individual is true of everybody, so the work is done in here first. But without judgment, we can now understand why we see injustice, or why we see abandonment, or why we see abuse, or whatever. These wounds are within ourselves. And they will be mirrored out until we can let them go. So in a loving union, in a divine union, one in which the two have become one, and suddenly the secrets of the universe have just been Suddenly you understand the Bible and everything else, and you understand how the design is, and you really, really, truly understand the nature of God in that point and in that moment. When you have that type of union, you are forever changed. Because now the whole universe will appear different to you. You will understand how you are the kingdom. You will not seek your value outside of you. You will not seek it in another individual. But you will gladly love and serve that individual because you will know that individual to be you. And you want to be on the receiving end of your own intentions. The most important thing you'll ever do is collapse the divide and make the two into one. So whether it's masculine or feminine energy, understand your counterpart is on display, regardless of gender. And when you can make the counterpart one and the same thing, now you have the type of union that you're looking for. Nothing can withstand this force. Nothing. Because it's the God state. It has no division. So think about it. If you have a division, it is because you are focused on it yourself. And you created it within yourself because the illusion of time and space are made by you. Anyone who was in my Behind the Veil class knows this fully. I hope this hits home, you guys. I'm serious, because if you're going to really love someone, do it right. See God in them. Honor and cherish them like you would God. But understand it is your experience on display, and there is no division. And when you can do that, miracles happen. And whoever it is that you're waiting on comes to you. They can't explain it. They don't know why. They don't understand this force. They're so confused by it, probably. Everybody's been in this receiving end. So if you want to be that source, you want to be the one projecting that instead so that people are coming to you, then start using this force into your advantage and stop making the divide where none exists. Embrace your God state. I hope that helps. Okay, let's see. Once the gap is closed, no more desire or gap, so you naturally drop it. Yes, exactly. Yes. And this letting go is so key, because you know how you can make a, what do you call it? You can make an experience easy to receive, like a cup of coffee, or something like that. You don't consider that to be a valuable thing because you can get your own coffee. If you can treat this person as if it's your cup of coffee, like it's you, it's really you, it's always been you, it's nothing but you, that kind of thing. If you can do that for me, right, in terms of bridging that divide, then there won't be one. And then literally you get to live that perspective. And when you live there, you'll know it, because the other person will show up and show you how they are reverse images of one another. But you do want to make peace with that, because, that's the experience on display. That's what you're after. That's what you're looking for, I hope that makes sense. The God state. Okay? Looking at your mirror, identifying how it's you, making peace with that until you no longer see the division. When you no longer have a division, you won't have a division in the 3D world. You can't, because you have changed your state, and your state responds instantly to you. Remember, love just is and love just reflects. So if you are present to your moment, you'll see it happen instantly. Instant happens all the time, you guys. What you experience in 3D, the delay, is your resistance to change. When you learn to work with your own resistance, you can have things so fast all the time because you've gotten used to the fact that everything happens instantly. Yes. So if everything's happening instantly, then it's no longer like, I don't know, a big deal. And when it's no longer a big deal, what happens? It happens instantly. You see how you have no resistance? You want to work with that resistance. You want to make sure that you get over it. Because that's really what's governing instant. If time and space are made for you, and you make time and space simply so you can master your vibration to have what you want, then mastering your vibration becomes of the utmost importance. But you're going to have to take your attention off of out there and understand how things are you and bridge the divide so you can have what you're seeking. It totally works. Totally works 100%. Because you wouldn't like your person if you didn't recognize yourself in them. You would not. Okay? Even if they appear to be everything you think you are not, when you really think about it, that's the reason you're attracted to them. But since God has no division, that means that is you. You are recognizing yourself. And when you really bridge that divide, I'm telling you, nothing withstands that force. It's actually kind of fun. I'm sorry. It really is fun, you guys. It's fun to understand this kind of juice, okay? Because this kind of juice is like, everything bows down to it. Like, not in a bad way. It's kind of like 3D just forms itself to it. Like, I hope you guys are as excited as I am, because it really is as deep as what I'm saying and as simple as what I'm saying, that's the most important part to realize. When you guys got this, you guys have everything. This is huge. And this works for your SPs, this works for your platonic relationships, this works for everything in life. You want to bridge the divide, you want to fix a disagreement, you become the person, you gain the perspective, you gain the compassion, you realize you're dealing with yourself, you change the karma, you change how you respond. In the future, what happens, you're on the receiving end of your own good stuff. You eliminate all needs for things to, like, everything's going to be a lesson, but it doesn't have to be painful lessons. And the more you evolve, the more you'll realize that whatever is happening, no matter what it is, no matter how bad it looks, it's happening for you. And the more you start becoming at ease with this, the more life-changing it is. But please, if you want your SP, if you want your person, if you really truly desire to be with that person, stop making the division where one doesn't exist. Embrace your God state fully. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to be telepathically in tuned. It's kind of fun to trade places. It's kind of fun to know that your person can show up in any body and pretend not to be that person, and you can play with reality in ways that you we can project bodies into their realities. We can do so much stuff. There's so much stuff to do at this level, you guys. It's fun, okay? But to get to this level, you have to understand how everything is you. When you do that, you're no longer fooled by the illusion. When the illusion collapses, you can be with your person all the time. I know you guys like this hack. You have to, right? All right, you guys. Let me see. This talk, once understood, is key. This is my new favorite talk you've done. Yay! Thank you. Yeah. Seriously, you guys. This is it. This is it. When you bridge this divide, if you're with your person right now, it's a great trick to really harmonize. If you're not with your person, it's a great way to practice the state of not being divided so that you can bridge the gap, because the gap only exists because of you. Everything is because of you. If you understand Neville, it's everything is because of you. When you got that, then every effect is because of you. So you have to take this unified understanding that everything that you think is on display mirrored out everywhere. When you have that understanding, you have peace. This is a whole different type of union. So regardless of who your person is, see yourself inside of them. Totally see yourself inside of them until they appear in your reality. I promise you this is how it works. And love is love reflected. If you embrace the God state, you're embracing the fact that love has no division. You know, that's one of my number one affirmations, and I don't give that many. The number one affirmation I'll ever give is, I am one with love, therefore, you know, I'm one with my love because I am one with God. One with my undivided love. However you want to say it. It doesn't matter. The point is that you are love. So in being love, you can't be divided from love. That's the God state. All right, you guys, I really hope that helped. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I hope that everyone finds their special person. I hope that you understand that in truth, no matter who it is out there, no matter how beautiful it is that you think, whatever it is that you think you're seeing out there, whoever it is, whatever, okay, know that that is your experience on display. And when you bridge that divide, when you realize that you are that person, you are what you seek, you will stop seeking. Okay, so it's that moment when the light realizes it's the light, so it stops trying to do what the shadow is doing. No one has time for that. Right? The light realizes it's light, so then the light walks and the shadow follows. It's peaceful because it's one. It doesn't treat the shadow like less because it knows the light and the shadow are one body. See how you're not going to like take advantage of that when you really truly know that it's one thing? So you treat this counterpart energy like you would yourself because it is you. And this energy is contagious. Then this shadow wants to be with this light always. But understanding the two are one being is key, because that's how you bridge the divide. This is how you collapse the timeline, the imaginary timeline and the imaginary time and space between two people. Until suddenly, before you know it, you blink and you're in the reality where you two share the same space. I'm slowly realizing my special person is me. Yeah, awesome. It is. It is. When you know this like you know this, it's a whole nother state of living. Because your person, that kind of juice, that person wants to be around this kind of peace, this kind of energy. It makes you, because this type of person will make you reassess everything in your life. Will make you question how you're doing anything and everything, will challenge you, and it's important for this change and allow for this change. And believe me, I didn't say that was easy, but it's this change that then teaches you how you are and you continue to live, because if you're not changing and growing, you're dead. Right? You've stood still. But if you understand that this person is always you, you're at peace as these things come up. So you want to start exuding this energy that knows, because this is what overflows, and this is what's more than enough to give to everyone else. And then when people ask, why do you do this? It's like, oh, I don't even think about it. I'm helping myself. It's me. I love me. So you do it from that state. And you serve everyone equally because you know that. And then you help share this message, and they know that, and that compounds. You've just made a whole different universe. And you get to witness it. And it's still you. But it's you in a whole new light. Because it's always been there. It's always been on display. And I'm going to leave this talk with this one last thought. If we have not realized our omnipresence, we're going to place God outside of ourselves. And it's very clear you can't mount both horses at once. So if I'm giving you the shortcut and I'm saying your experience is what's on display and that's what's God, and everyone is universally showing you that, that's what it means to be Christ. Universal experience on display. This is how the one expresses as the many. When you no longer have that divide, you understand your omnipresence everywhere. When you have this omnipresence, you then gain abilities like mine, where I can project myself into people's dreams. I can take them to heaven if I want to. I can do whatever I want. Okay? Everybody has these abilities, but they're the abilities of the kingdom. And so if you want access to them, you're going to have to make peace with yourself and understand that you're the source of everything that you see. And once you make peace with that and you fully love everything equally, then you understand the nature of God to be everywhere at once. So elevate, you guys. Recognize God everywhere. Begin with yourself. Understand how everything is technically God, but it is your experience on display. That's the fastest way you're going to get your SP. And your SP, you don't have to know who he is or she is. It doesn't matter. You don't have to know that. Okay? You don't have to specifically know this person. You just have to exude this energy and watch everything come to you. Right? Because I'll be the first to tell you that even I bow down to God. I bow down to this experience because I've understood it. I'm like, oh, there I am. 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 There's no escaping it. But when you're at peace with that, you understand your omnipresence. It's very different. Okay? So please embrace the God state. Elevate your relationships. Stop creating divisions where there are none. If there is a division, the division exists because of you. Your job is to collapse it. You collapse it by mirroring this person. When you understand that the mirror is always on display, you collapse it even more. When you start embracing their perspective, you develop compassion. When this is done, the ego has no more tools. The ego is your only, is your friend, but it is also your greatest obstacle. So the fights and all of that will stop occurring when you have recognized how these things are you and how your wounds animate people and things into creation and how things happened, and you make peace with all of that. So please understand it is your experience on display. And your job is to collapse that timeline. That is the trick. That is the hack of the century. become your person. Notice how it's you. Notice how it's your experience on display. If it is a point of contention, if you are not with your person, I guarantee you that there is something your ego is trying to protect you from. So it's going to mirror your wounds so that you'll be afraid of it. And that'll cause you to go into react mode. Your react mode is a defensive mode. Your defensive mode is not a pretty mode to your shadow that's on the receiving end, because you're jabbing at your shadow saying, you're not going to do this to me again. And they haven't done anything. Do you see how the relationship is not going to work? Again, notice that what I'm saying, I'm describing, is what's going on behind the veil. You're not aware of this on a conscious level on 3D, but since your experience is what's on display, this is what happens with wounds. So if you haven't made peace with these and you don't understand how the relationship is being mirrored back to you, then it's going to be very difficult to make peace with this sort of thing. So if you haven't made peace with this sort of thing, you're going to have fights and arguments with your other person. The illusion of that. Okay? I'm going to leave you with this last thought. I highly recommend 2 books by Lise Bourbeau. I recommend reading. When I say I recommend reading them, I say read them at least 5 or 6 times, please. Minimum. All right? And that is Heal Your Wounds, Find Your True Self. And her follow-up to that is Ego, the Greatest Obstacle Towards Healing Your Wounds. These 2 books, they're written in Spanish, Portuguese, French, I'm sure every other language as well, too. I'm sure you can find them. I've seen them. They're incredible books. And if you want to understand why these things are occurring, know that, for example, if you have an injustice wound, then the injustice you're seeing in the world will be reflected out. And so if you don't heal this injustice wound, you will continue to see it mirrored out in the world, because as a favor to you, it must be shown so you can see inside yourself and see how you are also being this. And this is then being called and asked for acceptance. So you can see how that works universally. This works on an individual level as well. So if you can start doing this, you can start bridging the divide and taking up the power of your universal identity, you will find that you will have a whole different kind of power over individuals. Because you know you're God. It's, you know you're God. When you know you're God, God is reflected everywhere. You give everything its respect. You stop treating people as less. You honor every single human being as best you can. And you understand that since it's your experience, and the experience that you had when you were 20, and the experience you had when you were 15, and the experience you had now that you're 60, and the experience you have when you're 80, even if you haven't actually gotten there yet, is on display all around you, masquerading as other people, so that you can know yourself. It is a beautiful, flawless design. Flawless. Absolutely freaking stunning. But when you stop finding faults in the world, and finding faults in your lover, and finding faults in other people, and finding faults, you'll stop looking for them, you'll stop finding them, you start expecting the best because you realize everything is you. You hit different. Your life, not death. People want to be around this energy. They can't help it. It's contagious. So emanate these things. Collapse the time and space illusion between yourself and another person. And be the love that you want. You know, we can't expect people to rescue us. We have to be our own rescuer. so that we can recognize the rescuers out there, or anything else for that matter. It's your experience, I promise you. That's the gift. It is a beautiful, flawless design. It is a beautiful promise. It is real. It is right in front of you. But if I said to you, look here and there outside of you, you'd never see it. And yet if you look through it, you can actually see it. But our beliefs are the veil. And when people tell you all is mental, it actually is. Okay, guys, I took too long on this conversation. I didn't mean to, but really try and take this in, because if you want your SP, like yesterday, this is how you do it. And then that person cannot help it. They want to talk to you, they call, they miss you, they'll say it. You'll feel the power of the force of understanding that you no longer need them because you recognize yourself in them. And when you hold that vibration, everything goes where you go. Alright, you guys. I love you. And I really, really, really hope that this takes. And again, this is part 10 of the self-love series. This is more from the perspective of with or without your partner. Regardless, you want to do this. You want to bridge that divide. Thank you, guys. Bye.